Today on Tax Justice Warriors, the focus is going to be on attorney well-being. I was part of a summit that focused on lawyer well-being at the Kansas City Metropolitan Bar Association. Tune in to find out more about it. Welcome to Tax Justice Warriors, the podcast that celebrates the work of low-income taxpayer clinics, focuses on tax controversy work, and looks at related issues in tax news. I am your host, William Schmidt, the director of the Low-Income Taxpayer Clinic at Kansas Legal Services. Today I wanted to change the focus from different items in the tax world to another area that is of interest to me, attorney well-being, or it is sometimes referred to just as wellness. And so I hope that you will indulge me in taking this time to focus on this subject for the episode because it is an area that I believe affects most every attorney. For one thing, there are studies, and I don't have all of the numbers and statistics in front of me, but often attorneys are cited as one of the loneliest professions, that there are high levels of anxiety and depression. There is a high amount of alcoholism and drug abuse, and some of those things can lead to suicide as well. So there are big issues with attorneys staying healthy just because of the stress and the culture that is a part of focusing on alcohol at different events in law school and law firms and bar associations. So this month, earlier, there was an event at the Kansas City Metropolitan Bar Association on Thursday, October 10. That was actually World Mental Health Day on October 10. That the Wellness Committee of the Kansas City Metropolitan Bar Association held a free attorney wellness summit, bringing together people from the Kansas City metropolitan area to discuss and learn about ways to improve attorney wellness in law firms, courtrooms, and law schools, plus the various other areas where attorneys interact and work. Now, I was on the wellness committee from, I think, the start, and we were working on this event since at least the beginning of the year, so around January 2019, planning the event for roughly 9 months or so, and we wound up having quite a group of guest speakers. It started out with Bree Buchanan talking about lawyer well-being, the road to professionalism and excellence in practice. And I'm going to cite her because she is one of the founding co-chairs of the National Task Force on Attorney Well-being. That was a group through the American Bar Association, and they have promoted attorney well-being on a national level. I'm not going to name every presenter, but next there was a focus on workplace bullying, then on stress, anxiety, and depression in the professional world. Over the lunch period, we had quick presentations on current well-being initiatives in Kansas City. So these were both law firms and non-law firms that have different wellness initiatives that they were using to help their employees within the various workplaces that they have. Following that, then we broke up the people in the room into various groups. The people who were speaking about the well-being initiatives in Kansas City were group leaders, and we all discussed various topics on what can be done to promote attorney wellness and break down the different stigmas that come with getting mental and emotional help, things that are barriers within the legal industry, and just a broad discussion that we then shared with the group at large with different table reports and discussion moderated by Bree Buchanan. Then in the afternoon, there was a presentation by David Zivon of Zivon Davidson Roman LLC in St. Louis. He gave a very personal story about, in their small law firm, one of his other partners committed suicide, and he actually was the one to find his friend. So speaking about ways that his friend could have sought help, and just really speaking about the tunnel vision a person who is focused on suicide can have when they are in that severely focused mental state, and just ways that people can help. Next, there was a workshop on learned optimism and using a strengths-based approach to life and leadership. And really what this focus on was with neuroscience to focus on the message that we are telling ourselves on a regular basis. What kind of language are we using? What kind of focus do we have during the day? Trying to bring a more positive approach throughout our life. Then there were presentations by 3 of the attorneys who are members of the Wellness Committee, speaking on how good nutrition helped one of the attorneys in just dealing with some of her medical struggles, that just by changing her diet that she was able to take care of some of her problems. Next, another attorney spoke about his dealing with substance abuse and how his law firm was very supportive of him and his steps to improve his life, that he has a very positive attitude, a good sense of humor, and his steps to make his way through in the struggle. And then the third person was a person who does guided meditations, how since she has been doing that she is able to focus on her anxiety and really use the meditations to find better calm within her life. And at the end, there was a presentation by the KLAP and MOLAP, that is the Kansas Lawyers Assistance Program and Missouri Lawyers Assistance Program, that these are professional organizations set up for helping people who are dealing with addictions and substance abuse issues, giving them people to talk to about their problems and give them help and guidance throughout the week or on a regular basis, to give them guidance in improving themselves and focusing on keeping their lives professional as they deal with the issues. Now, overall, my interest in the Wellness Committee as a whole is I wanted to turn back to the workplace bullying, that they were saying that some people who are bullied are often likable, smart, open and trusting, high performers, and well-liked, that this was something I focused on because when I was in a work situation, there was one person above me that wanted me out of the organization, and there were other people who did like me and wanted me to stay. And so it wound up being a bit of a tug of war between them. And so for a time, I had being fired kind of over my head. And so overall, that just kind of built up with some anxiety for me. And so that kind of is an issue that I still deal with to this day. So it helped me to hear different things that are good initiatives and good resources in dealing with anxiety, depression, or emotional issues. And overall, I just want to say that if it is therapy or counseling, other items like that, that I think this is something that we need to remove the stigmas from That is certainly okay if we go to a hospital or a doctor for getting medical help for our physical bodies. So it really should not be an issue if we are seeking help when it comes to mental or emotional issues as well. As a whole, I wanted to let people know about my interest in this. I hope this is something that is useful to you. Please reach out to me if you have any further questions. I can share some of the materials with you. But overall, I hope that everyone is finding ways to stay healthy, well-balanced, and if they're needing help, that they are seeking the help that they need. Overall, I want to thank you for tuning in to Tax Justice Warriors. I promise I will turn next week to a tax topic, but I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to Tax Justice Warriors. We have a Patreon page if you'd like to support this podcast. Providing monetary support for this podcast helps with expenses like equipment or travel to tax conferences. Supporting this podcast through Patreon comes with rewards, so check out our Patreon page. Please rate or review this podcast because positive reviews help get more people to know this podcast exists. The views expressed on this podcast are not official opinions of the IRS, the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic program, or the employers of the people who spoke on this program. Your tax situation is unique, so do not take the statements on this program as tax or legal advice. Consult with your own tax professional to provide you with specific advice on your situation. Tune in next time on Tax Justice Warriors for another interesting tax discussion.